Hi All Stars! Today is History Wednesday. Today we're going to be going over something that happened 40 years ago this week in history. That's the eruption of Mount St. Helens. Mount St. Helens is a volcano in Washington that's about 50 miles northeast of Portland and about 100 miles south of Seattle. Before we get into the eruption, let's get into some of the things that triggered the actual big boom. So it's said that Mount St. Helens was dormant for 123 years prior to the big eruption. About 2 months before the big one, on March 25th, there was a 4.2 earthquake that hit underneath Mount St. Helens. 48 hours after that happened, 178 different earthquakes and aftershocks were recorded. During the month of April, about 5 quakes per day, plus aftershocks, were also recorded. During the month of May, up to 8 different quakes were felt throughout the day, on top of all the aftershocks. Over 10,000 quakes and aftershocks were recorded between the dates of March 25th and May 18th. Now that's a lot of shaking. So on the morning of May 18th, 1980, at 8:32 in the morning, a 5.1 earthquake shook the grounds of Mount St. Helens. It was said that it was one of the most violent eruptions that have happened in 3,200 years. The president at the time, Harry R. Truman, who was actually a resident of Washington State and lived nearby Mount St. Helens, said that it was one of the most desolate things he'd ever seen and compared it to a moonscape. The blast itself vaporized everything within 1,500 feet of it, and it shot a mushroom cloud into the sky over 15 feet high, and it also created one of the largest landslides ever recorded. So the landslides that Mount Helens eruption created flattened trees for up to 220 square miles outside of the blast zone. The cloud of ash and debris could be seen covering 11 different states and parts of Canada too. Unfortunately, 57 people lost their lives during this, and 220 homes were destroyed, along with over 50 bridges and close to 200 miles of highway and railway. The ash itself, with the fact that it traveled so far, it also caused issues with sewage and water treatment and even electrical problems with different machines and vehicles too. So it's estimated that up to 540 million tons of ash fell after the eruption of Mount St. Helens. 900,000 tons of ash fell on the state of Washington alone. That is a lot of ash. Even with a comparison of 540 million tons, that's a ton of ash. So right now I'm going to insert a picture of what Mount St. Helens looked like before the eruption and after the eruption. So if you look, the mountain looks extremely different. A total of 14,000 feet of this mountain volcano technically was blown off during the eruption, so it looks a lot different. But don't fret, everything is getting back to normal. As of today, their trees and forest vegetation are growing back. Small mammals, along with birds and insects and even aquatic life at the Lake Spirit 50 miles away, are starting to regenerate. Ecosystems are falling into place and things are getting better. So it's wonderful to hear that Mount St. Helens is in fact recovering and things are coming back to a semi-normal. I really do wonder what it will look like 40 years from now on its 80th anniversary of the eruption. So that's all for today. I hope you guys learned something. And you know, at the end of my videos, I usually do a challenge, so here's today's challenge. I challenge you to find out how many volcanoes are active in the state of Washington. Comment below, and I will see you guys for tomorrow. See you later, All Stars!